I love it when a plan comes together. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Shepherd's Hut revamp video. Quick little explanation. A few years ago now, a good few years ago, I put a little pseudo shepherd's hut on a piece of land that I own. And it was a very rushed job, and it was fine for roughing it for a weekend or a night or two, just me and the dog. Life has moved on since then, and I've now got a new partner, and she would very much like to spend time down there. She does spend time down there with me, and I sort of bodged the shepherd's hut to make it work for the two of us, but it now needs really doing a bit better, you know. So hence the revamp. Mary is very much in charge of the soft furnishings and all that sort of stuff, and the planning of how it's going to look. I'm involved in the sort of more structural side of things and making it work. So this is part one. I hope you enjoy. Welcome down to Old Alan's again. As you can see, I'm stripping out Shepherd's Hut, taking the old bed apart. I'm going to end up remaking this in a slightly different format, but it was running down here. It's now going to go back across there and then be widened out, so it's suitable for two people. It's also going to be raised up somewhat, so we can have some storage cupboard space underneath. All the electrics will go underneath. There's the electrics such as they are. Power lead coming in from turbine, power leads to next to it there coming into the solar charger, and then everything going into the batteries for storage. So I've got three old van batteries. They're not proper leisure batteries, so they won't take a massive discharge load, but in terms of ampere hours, we've got 72 ampere hours on this fella here, 75 on that one, and I think the one down there is probably about 50. It's a much smaller battery, so yeah, plenty of grunt for the inverter and stuff. And as you can see down here, I'm using old bits of salvage wood again. It's either stuff that was salvaged once, has been salvaged previously and is being used again, recreated, or it's new stuff that's been salvaged from somewhere else. The piece standing up there against the wall, that came from someone's garage rafters that came off a bonfire pile. The bit I'm about to cut outside, that's also from a bonfire pile. Some of this stuff I can't remember where I picked it up from, but it's all salvaged. That has to be a key element to this build, because we need to keep the costs down. And also, you know, we all know we shouldn't be buying new stuff if we can avoid it. So it might make things a bit more tricky. You might not always have exactly what you need when you need it, but most things you can wait a little while and sort of wait and find it. Waiting for things is difficult though for our modern minds, our modern brains to deal with, because we're used to instant gratification. So yeah, so that in itself is an interesting project, storing stuff up. Being a bit of a hoarder, thinking I know I can use that at some point, it can be a useful skill. Certainly looking to the future, it's going to be increasingly useful, I think. Right then. Excuse Radio 4 in the background. Let me wedge that camera right up there. So there's the base of the bigger bed. It's 3.5 foot wide, 1.79 meters long, which means it's a little bit short for me, but I'll deal with that. I mean, the notch down there you can see cut out. That's clearly just, you know, one of the old rafter timbers. It's not something I've done, but this is seriously substantial. When this thing's together, it's not going to go anywhere. I'm just going to reuse the old top and straddle that across, which will give a lattice effect. I'm going to get like a proper foam base for this, so that would be good to have a bit of air underneath it anyway. So yeah, coming on nicely. Well, it almost looks like a proper bed, which is great. Loads of storage underneath, which is fab. Going to end up closing in the front, put some doors on there, or certainly some means of accessing whatever gets stored inside. So yeah, pretty pleased with that. Right, I don't know if you can see me. Here we go. Time is getting on, so I've got to be heading off for the day, but what a result. Nice big solid bed made, which is fab. The electrics, I'll show you them. I'm quite pleased with them. I've actually screwed the inverter box up, and all the things are all screwed up where they should be properly, so that's a lot neater tucked under there, and actually a lot easier to get to plug things in as well. I'm really pleased with these electrics. Having the bed higher has made it much easier to store up the batteries, screw the relevant control boxes to the side, and for the first time ever the inverter is screwed up on the side as well, which is fab. So that means we've got a plug at the front of the bed, a couple of plugs, USB port right there, the on off switch is right there. It's all dead easy to get to, and what I'll do when I come to sort of like box this front bit in below here, sorry, you really can't see this very well. So when I come to box this bit in and put the doors on it, which I think might have to be like a sliding door, the bit above these wheel arches in the trailer, I can sort of board that bit in solidly and frame around, so the two side bits are boarded. That'd be nice and neat, and yeah, that'd be grand. And then we can have like a sliding bit either side, so you can get into one half or the other half. Fab. I've clearly shrunk a bit as well, because my head used to rub on the top, so maybe I just had longer hair, who knows. But yeah, if I was down in on my own, bit of diagonal sleeping, no bother at all, stretch out, but I can cope with tucking my feet up for a night. That's not so bad. Continuing the theme of make do and mend and fix up with things that I've got, I'm making up the runners for the sliding doors underneath the bed. So I've got some old offcuts of fencing timber, so that's front board. This old tree stake, metal tree stake or plant stake, is gonna provide the gap there for the one of them to run in, and then the angle of that, I'll put that board there. Once that's attached, that's going to be this slot for the next one so they can slide past each other. That's the plan, and there'll be a similar effect happening up the top. So if I can get the runners in today and then measure up for the doors, I can sort of make the doors over the next couple of days in a bit of spare time. I'm hoping I've got enough timber that my brother gave me from some pallet offcuts that he'd got from work. So hopefully that'll be the doors. That's the pallet wood cut down for the doors, but I can't do any more because I don't have the right length of screws here. I need some short screws, and also I do need to go and get some form of banding metal strip or something that I can drill through to secure them, because the first of the doors, which is this fella here, that will sit quite close to the other door, so the bits that hold that together are going to need to be quite thin. The other door I can do the bracing with timber, that's not a problem at all. And that's the wood to sit on top, which is slightly longer because it sits behind and has to go further up behind the bed. So yeah, so a bit frustrating, but I can take those bits of wood away and then get them done elsewhere once I've got some screws, or where I've got the screws I should say, because I've got the screws, I just don't have them here. In the words of Hannibal, I love it when a plan comes together.